Welcome to each and every one of you that took the time off to join us in today's Industry Day. This is the first official Industry Day for the Marine program, and therefore we're delighted to see 42 participants already on this call. So thank you very much. And I hope today's session would be informative and tell you exactly what you need to know about the program, what you want to know about the program, and showcase the beneficiaries that we have on the call. On my screen, I'm sharing with you the presentation. So first off, let's go through the first introduction slides. So we've already done the welcome. I was hoping to have the DTIC online at the moment to go through a brief set of introductions, but they'll also be doing a presentation later on where they'll introduce themselves. My name is Nicoline Roux. Hi, Yolandi.
Hi, sorry, Nicoline. Bianca is online.
Okay, excellent. I don't see Andrew on here yet, but I'm sure Bianca will take over for Andrew if he doesn't reach up. Otherwise, we can just postpone that section until he's ready. I see he's just joined. Hi, Andrew, can you hear us? Okay, never mind. We will get there when we give the DTIC time to do their presentation. So again, my name is Nicoline Roux. From the AISI side, I am the project manager, the program manager, and I am the main interface and interaction with all of our beneficiaries. With me on the call, I've got Marie Botha, Erik Wegman, and Yolandi Oosthuizen. They are also with the AISI. I will just give Marie Botha and Erik just time to introduce themselves, because if you are involved in the program, you will also get to know them. Marie is the AISI program manager. Marie, Erik, you don't need to share your video, but if you can just quickly say hi to everybody on the call.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marie Botha. I am responsible for the Aerospace Industry Support Initiative, the AISI. It's an initiative of the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. Yeah, you guys, thanks for joining us on this, and we really appreciate your feedback and input into how we implement this program on behalf of government. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Erik Wegman. I'm a colleague of Nicoline. I became involved with the Marine program fairly recently, and I try to focus on especially designated components. Thank you.
Thanks. And then Yolandi is our support. I'm not going to put her on the spot to say hi, but she is definitely in the background of everything that goes on in the program. Okay, so that's introduction from the AISI side. Then a few house rules. Everybody can remain muted until we get to question and Q&A sessions. It's better to keep your cameras off to save some bandwidth, to make sure that we have as least as possible hiccups during this Industry Day. And then depending on the presenters, all interaction should be left until the end of the presentations, but I do know some of the presenters is going to have an interactive presentation. So if they say you're allowed to, you can raise your hand or have an active communication with them. Secondly, there's extra CPD points that can be claimed for attending this session. So it's 0.3 points that you can claim. All that you need to do is you post your name and your surname with your EXA registration number in the chat, or email Yolandi in the same email you used to RSVP for this email. And then the last thing is the session is being recorded. Okay, without further ado, I will start the presentation. As we mentioned, it's the Marine Virtual Industry Day and the first of its kind. In today's presentation, I am going to go through the CSR introduction. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the AISI, which is the Aerospace Industry Support Initiative, the Marine Program, the project supported by the Marine Program, company supported by the program, as well as the way forward. I'm just going to stop my camera sharing as well to share some bandwidth on my side. There we go. So first off, the Council of Science and Industrial Research, it's a leading scientific research and technology development organization in Africa. In partnership with national and international research and technology institutions, the CSIR undertakes to direct and multidisciplinary research and technology innovation that contributes to the improvement of the quality of life of all South Africans. Just a few of the CSIR's official slides. The mandate, the objectives of the CSIR is to foster in the national interest on the field, which is, in its opinion, should receive preference, industrial and scientific development, either by itself or cooperation with principles from the private or public sectors, and thereby to contribute to the improvement of the quality of lives of the people of the Republic, and to perform any other functions that may be assigned to the CSIR by or under this Act. The vision: we are accelerators of socioeconomic prosperity in South Africa through leading innovation, and our mission is to collaboratively innovate and localize technologies while providing knowledge solutions for the inclusive and sustainable advancements of industry and society. We also administer growth, impact, sustainability, as well as relevance. Our goals are to conduct research, development, innovation, to collaborate, improve and competitiveness of high impact industries to support South Africa's reindustrialization, to drive socioeconomic transformation through R&D, to build and transform human capital and infrastructure, to diversify income and maintain financial sustainability and good governance. Within the CSIR, we've got several clusters and all of them displayed here on the screen. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but you're very welcome to visit the CSIR website for more information. This brings me to the AISI, the Aerospace Industry Support Initiative. It falls under the Industry Connect within the manufacturing cluster of the CSIR, which is under future productions. The AISI is an initiative of the DTIC, so the whole program is led by the DTIC. The AISI is hosted and managed by the CSIR and has a specific aim to industrial development. Other industries that the AISI also supports are aerospace, space, defense, and as well, for this presentation, maritime. This brings me to the marine program. The full name for the marine program is the Marine Manufacturing, Maintenance and Repairs and Associated Services Development Program. The program was kicked off in 2019 with the main aim to assist the marine manufacturing industry to overcome challenges, to build local capabilities and technology solutions, and to enhance global competitiveness along the full supply chain in the marine industry. The program was initiated to address the increased amount of exemption requests received by the DTIC from the designated marine industry. The program is focused on marine manufacturing, which is very important as that's the basis of all of the support that we provide. Then we get this question a lot: what is the designated marine industry? So in 2014, the National Treasury approved the designation of locally built working vessels for public procurement. The directive is binding to all government departments at national, provincial, and municipal level, and all state-owned industries. So designating says that the specifications is stipulated minimum threshold percentage required for all local production and content in respect to working vessels, saying that 60% of the local vessels must have a local content threshold. Government aims to create a more enabling environment for the marine manufacturing industry. So that is the aim of designation. And then it's also important to know that there's provisions for the importation of components that is not produced in South Africa. And that is where exemption requests come into play. This is a list of the targeted component list, which comes from the designated list. The components in bold is what we focus on at the moment, but not limited to, because we think there's a great capability and capacity to actually locally manufacture these components. You can go through this list on your own time, but for now, I'm just going to focus on valves, bathroom units, insulation material, firefighting systems, davits, application processes, and manufacturing of paints and coatings. But there's several others as well. Then we get to the initiatives that's offered under the program. There are two. First off, standards and accreditations, and secondly, technology enhancement. Let's start off with the standards and accreditation. The aim under this initiative is to assist beneficiaries to address certifications and compliance issues. The absence of standards and certifications could limit a company's ability to partake in the supply chain of procuring organizations, as well as to get into the market of local and international ships. Then marine certifications that we do support are marine, such as your classification society certifications, for example, your IOX affiliated certifications, type approval, MED certifications, and then other marine certifications such as SAMHSA, SAPS, CE, and so forth. What's really important to understand in accreditation is that when companies apply, they've got a good understanding of the exact support that they require. Otherwise, we can help the system to do some research and then just to understand exactly what is the support required. The second initiative is technology enhancement, where we provide assistance to marine manufacturers for either testing and validation of new technology or technology transfer to a beneficiary. And secondly, to support will assist suppliers to enter new markets or enhance existing markets. Examples of the support under the technology enhancement for 2020, it was a ship ballast water treatment system project, and that's the photo that you also see, where Cybercom Atlas Defense developed a mobile ship ballast water treatment system. More on this a bit later when they'll do a presentation. And then in 2021, it was carbon fiber hydrofoil project by SAMCD. So how do you become part of the program and how does it work? So how do you apply? First of all, I'll explain to you how the expression of interest works, which is the main method we use to identify companies for the standards and accreditations. I'll go through the process, then I'll quickly discuss the qualifying organizations, what type of funding and the amount of funding that's available, and then how long should the programs last, the duration of the programs, in other words. I just got a comment from somebody that said that they can't see the presentation. Joe mentioned that. Is there anybody else that's got a problem with the visual? If you guys can just type for me. Okay, Yolanda indicated she can see the presentation. Joe, I would recommend if you can quickly shut down your computer and then restart it. Just try and reconnect again. Thanks, Eugene and Paul. Okay, I hope you get right, Joe. Just let us know if there's an issue, but I think if you try to rejoin with the link, it should solve the problem. So first off, let's start with the process. Following the processes, we review them. Once they're approved, they go to a panel and we prioritize the interventions. From there, we agree on the terms of the beneficiary. So more than one company could be successful. From there, we obtain a service provider. The service provider agrees to deliverables, saying, okay, in stage 1, we're going to do X, stage B, we're going to do Y. And from there, we just monitor the program to make sure that all objectives are reached and achieved. Then who qualifies for the standards and accreditations? Any organization that's currently or could in the future be part of the marine system or component manufacturer, as well as the marine associated service providers eligible to submit an expression of interest. What is important is you must be a South African registered company. Then both large organizations as well as SMEs are eligible, although preference will be given to SMEs. And the bulk of the companies that we do support currently are SMEs. What the company will need is a valid BEE certificate, a valid SARS tax clearance certificate that clearly states good standing. And then there's just a definition of an SME. And then the funding that's available for standards and accreditations. The average budget per beneficiary is about 350, although it's not limited. If support does go above 400,000, we do require co-funding. And then the amount of co-funding is different for SMEs and non-SMEs. And the limit from the beneficiary is open-ended. So if support is needed for example, say 1 million, although the AISI will only support up to a certain gap, then the rest of the remaining money could be matched or even more provided by the beneficiary. These projects normally should be completed within a 12-month period. Then we get to the technology enhancement project, which is mainly done by call for proposals, but this can change depending on the program and the status thereof. So I'm going to discuss again the process. Then I'm going to look at companies that qualify, the funding that's available, and the duration again. On the right of your screen, you can see examples of the hydrofoils, which was part of the last technology enhancement project that was manufactured. Those are actually 3 prototypes. So the process is a little bit more complicated because there's more funding or more funding that's available. First off, a call for proposals is issued. It's evaluated. If the company is unsuccessful, they're informed. If they are successful, they go to the next step of evaluation, which is the critical factors. From there, their applications are characterized for distribution to the technical review committee. So here we've got a panel of experienced engineers and other industry experts where we actually review case by case or proposal by proposal to select the most appropriate project to support. So the panel then reviews and scores individually. From there, if they're successful, they go to the evaluation of the transformation related factors. They're scored, and from there, they're scored on transformation, which should be EU percentage Black owned, percentage Black women owned, as well as percentage youth owned. And then that score is used to rank the companies by, from 1 till 5 or 1 to 10, depending on the number of applications that went through. From there, we inform the successful applicant or applicants. We prepare and sign contracts, service providers, deliverables is agreed, and objectives identified. And from there, we monitor until we've got the required outcome for the project. Then let's look again who qualifies for the program. This is similar in some ways to standards and accreditation, but there's a few additional points that we just need to list. So again, any organization that's currently or could be in the marine environment. Secondly, both large organizations as well as SMMEs, but preference will be given to SMMEs. Companies will need a valid BBBE certificate. They'll also need a SARS tax clearance certificate of good standing. Then the 2 additional rules that apply for the technology enhancement project are: manufacturers that are currently receiving support from the same requested interventions from other South African government departments or international organizations will not be considered for support. And then secondly, companies that have received support from the Marine Technology Enhancement Intervention over the past 3 years will not be considered. After the timeline of 3 years have lapsed, the same company can apply again. So the funding that's available for technology enhancement is a maximum of 750. It can be split between smaller projects. So if 2 companies, one company wants 300,000 and the second company wants 450, then there can be 2 projects. But if it's also just one big project for the whole amount, then it will only be 1 project that's supported per year. Now, co-funding for all the technology enhancement projects is a requirement, and it also differs from SMMEs to non-SMMEs. SMMEs are required to support at least 10% of the total project amount. Non-SMMEs are required to co-fund at least 25% of the full project amount. Funding can be used for international or for internal and external project running costs, project man-hour, training, development, engineering support, or other similar costs. And then what's very important is funding cannot be used for capital expenditure, such as the purchase of equipment or software. Then these projects should also have a duration of 12 months. Then we get to the current projects that's either being supported by the AISI's marine program or that's in the pipeline of being supported. So on this table, you've got on the left-hand side, you've got the components, and on the right-hand side, you've got the services. So components that's being supported, butterfly valves, successfully. We have supported Pel Technologies to be the first marine butterfly valve certified company in South Africa. Valve position indicators, as well as life jackets, are in the pipeline to be certified. Then components, as this being our main target, that's pending or that we will be looking to certify in the next year, is insulation materials, pilot ladders, automated actuator packages, gate valves, globe valves, and seals. Then services related to the marine industry and specifically related to manufacturing that we are currently in progress or that we've already helped to get certification for is IACS welding procedures, non-destructive testing, ISOs. Very important is you see the asterisks for the ISO 9001, 14001, and 5001. The AISI no longer only supports those 3 ISOs because it is in contrast with what CEDA already does if it's a SMME. So we just refer companies to CEDA for support very successfully, and CEDA has helped us a lot with this. We're very thankful. But if it's a marine specific ISO, you can still apply through the program. Then, as well as working in confined spaces related to marine chemists and the testing of tanks before any maintenance and repairs can be done on ships. Torpedo, banksman, slinger, and Grego certifications, Caressa marine coating technology, and offshore corrosion assessment training, specifically for the marine industry. And then services spending in the future is SAQCC, painting and blasting, non-destructive testing, as well as several other welding certifications. So this is what we are currently working on. Then companies supported through the program. At the moment, we've got 14 contracted beneficiaries, and it's all of these that you can see on the screen. 4 of these beneficiaries will also be presenting to you today, to tell you a little bit more of the program and their experience throughout the program. Just to give you an indication of where the geographic spread of the industry and the marine industry and the sub-companies that we support. So we are not at all limited to a certain area. We've got 3 companies in Gauteng, 1 company in KwaZulu-Natal, 2 companies in the Eastern Cape, 8 companies in the Western Cape. So this is our current spread. And just a little bit of impact that we're reporting back from the previous financial year. So we had 1 technology development or advancements of existing technology. We had 3 high-skilled jobs retained due to the AISI intervention. We've got 13 SMMEs involved in projects. We had 7 standards and accreditations that we supported and 5 new systems and certifications. So every year we are trying to improve this amount and to increase our impact. So what is the way forward? The program has a focus on marine manufacturing, very important. It's our drive and our center of the program. A targeted approach is followed for standards and accreditations for the current financial year. This means that we are focusing on the designated component list to get those components certified and accredited for international and local use. In the next financial year, we will publish calls again to identify new companies to participate in the program. For technology enhancement, we had a call open that closed on the 16th of November, and we are pleased to say that we're still going through the evaluation, but we have received quite a few applications. Then also we will focus on our pipeline companies. These are support that's not yet contracted, but that we are working towards getting contracted and applying the certification within the next year. This is pilot ladders that's being manufactured and certification is pending, non-destructive testing certification, welding certifications, position in the indicator switch boxes, seals, insulation material, valves, and then paint manufacturing. Also the way forward, in the last financial year, a few months ago, we had our first webinar on the 27th of September. It was called Services Offered by IOC Societies, where we had a speaker from DNV that came and presented on the services that they offered. And there will, again, in the next financial year, or even in the next year, be more webinars hosted by similar companies or similar societies. So I really call to you guys that you attend these webinars in the future, and we will send out invitations to everybody on our database. So if you received the invitation for today's industry day, you will receive it as well for the webinars. Then industry days, this is the first one, but it will hopefully not be the last. Look out for more industry days in 2022. So hopefully these will not be virtual and we will meet in person, but time permitting and COVID permitting, we will see how this goes. The aim of today's industry day is to promote the program through the delivering testimonials from beneficiaries and providing breakout sessions for companies to network. So there will be 2 breakout sessions today. We will give you the opportunity to still, as an industry, meet and greet each other. So what is our way forward for 2022? So we want to grow the program. We want to publish calls and identify new beneficiaries to support new projects. We want to drive localization within the marine manufacturing industry. We want to decrease exemption requests through local manufacturing, especially through the standards and accreditations, to give companies the competitive edge and to make impact within the marine manufacturing industry. We want to create jobs, we want to develop skills and human capital. We want to drive innovation and localization. We want to achieve export capability and import substitutions. And lastly, support and drive the support of SMEs. That is it from the marine program and the AISI slide. Let me just see how we're doing for time. Okay, great. At this point, I would like to give over to the DTIC. Andrew, I think you are on, and then there's a question and answer session. All of you can post it if you've got a question, post it in the chat, and we can have a discussion after the DTIC presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicolene. Thanks for I don't know if I will be able to share my presentation, but I've sent it to you. If you can help me just to present to show it on the screen. I don't know if you received it.
Hi, Andrew, just bear with me while I quickly grab it. Got it.
Please, I will appreciate it. You can just present for me.
Okay, Andrew, tell me if you can see it.
Thank you. I can see it. Much appreciated. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, colleagues. It's a pleasure just to be able to take part in this presentation. Thanks to John. I can see John Andrew Cock. That's great. Okay, I don't know. Oh, yeah, okay. I think now it's okay. Thanks so much. My presentation will consist of an introduction, yes, background. I will speak also some levers which can be used for the development of the industry. I will speak also to some progress to date. After that, it will I will present our actual program, which we are going through this time, and some challenges which we are facing. Later on, I will speak to our strategic partners or partnership we are working with just to achieve some few things in our industry, rationale behind the accreditation program. Thank you. Next page. Okay, just to introduce the industry as such, the Marine Manufacturing Development Program. We have a long name, but we'd like to keep it. Sometimes we call it just Marine Manufacturing, but it's also we call it Marine Manufacturing and Associated Services. It consists of boat building, shipbuilding, ship and rig maintenance and repairs, and also the manufacturing of marine components. That's one area which we'll talk to, but both the four sections are part of the marine manufacturing. When you speak of marine manufacturing, please just you can see the four components or subsectors which make the industry. Next. Now, as background, in 2011, the Industrial Policy Action Plan, which we normally call IPEP in short, identified ship and boat building as a priority sector. And from there, it's become a focus from the DTI. We consider the sector, because of its contribution to the economy, as a very important sector, which we have to focus, and also the size or its nature of as a labor-intensive sector. We feel that any impact in that sector, which has a lot of strong and extended linkages across industries, could have an impact. Any growth in the industry affect or pull in its growth a number of sectors around, which that's why even the focus on associated services. We also consider that the lifespan of a vessel is 25 to 30 years. Therefore, maintenance and repairs become key, because for 25 years, there are spares to be replaced, there are parts to be replaced, and we said that should be also our focus. And with that, we designated the sector, the working vessels, for local procurement. I mean, any vessel which is procured by a state-owned company or any department, government department, all the government entities should be manufactured locally. some of the spares can be imported, but the manufacturing of the vessel should be local. And one of the things which we stated, it was 60% of local content. And if you read the instruction note on designation, you'll see that there is even a list of components which we say that it should be 100% local. Some are not yet localized. In other words, they are not, there is no capacity to localize. Some there is capacity, but it's not, they are not marine accreditation accredited, they are not marine accredited. But we see that it's possible to have to develop those capacity locally. That's why they are designated for 100% local. Next page. Some of the lever which can be used for the development of the marine manufacturing industry, which we call opportunities which can be created through this industry, include localization, the tariff. With tariff, what we see to make a difference between a component which is imported knockdown to be assembled locally and a component which is fully imported. We look also to things like industrial financing, because this sector is quite a different from any other sector. Because just by its nature, you have an order today, you have to take a year or two for you to complete the construction, but you have to pay in upfront the construction of the vessel. In other words, the industry, the company, if the order must take the cost of the manufacturing. And most of the banks, commercial banks, they consider the industry as a risky. And they are, even the financial institutions, the developmental financial institutions sometimes consider the sector as a risky, and they are risk averse themselves. Then it's become like a no-go zone. Then we have this financial program just to advocate a way of assessing risk for the industry. We look also to competition. Standard accreditation, one of our programs, which we'll talk to today toward the end, and skills development. In this industry, the average age, as we'll see, as among the challenges, it's 55 years of skilled people in the industry, which make it's not very much an attractive industry for young people. And we see skilled people, they are toward the end of their career, and not having in the pipeline new blood coming and take over, which we feel that's quite a serious problem. Some of the programs also include innovation and technology, incentives, export promotion, market access. We focus for the African region. This is quite a huge market. You see that Africa, sometimes they jump South Africa to import things which can be produced in South Africa, which is one of the things which we are working on, just to have the industry itself have access to the region market. Thank you. The next one. Among the things we have already achieved include, we have a clear plan, which we call Marine Manufacturing Development Plan Program, which gives our strategy for the sector and how we have to go about it. Some are still in the pipeline, some we are already implementing, but the plan as such is already conceived and used as reference, even when you assist to master plan on the ocean economy, you'll see that the side of the marine manufacturing is one of the documents consulted. We have designated the sector, as I said earlier on, for local procurement at 60% of local content, which is quite a support really for the industry, because the market is guaranteed whenever there is a procurement from government, it will be locally manufactured. And then you have the certification and accreditation program of components, because we need this local component to be supplied to the marine manufacturing industry. for that, there are some requirements which are marine class accreditation, which is required. We have a program called Skill Development Program, which is in support of the industry. As we said, this industry, the age of skilled workers is quite advanced, 55 years, it's quite worrying for the industry. We have a program which we intervene and it's still running. I think it will be completed, this wave will be completed in March 2022. And we have our inbound mission, just because of movement restriction due to COVID-19. We have put a bit the program on ice, waiting for a better period, but we're working on it. It's to attract potential buyers in the country, to have to be in touch with the local product and see how this can work out. Next page, please. Yes, among the program which we are focusing now, I think I've just already mentioned, include what you call the localization of the demand, to ensure that the procuring entities in their planning, we know ahead what they have planned so that the industry can get ready. This is a way of even the component themselves, the components which are used in the industry for the manufacturing of vessels can be to have a sort of a guarantee for markets so that people can invest into production of those components locally. The accreditation and certification program, which I think Nicolene spoke intensively on them. It's one of our program which we feel strongly that it will help the local industry to be able to supply to the marine manufacturing industry. And the industrial financing program, I think I spoke to it. Skill development, I spoke to it. Innovation and the innovation framework. We've developed an innovation framework and shared with the industry quite a very ambitious program. But in a way, we are working in it in various sub-programs like the certification and the accreditation program, which support technology innovation, which we feel strongly that it's one of the things which will support it in line with our innovation framework. Infrastructure, which among others, we consider TNPA mostly key to this program, how they can invest in support for marine manufacturing, where we have things like access to waters, the lease for shipyards to be considered for a longer period, and so on and so forth. You have also access to African markets, which we think it's more a bilateral or multilateral relation with different countries, which means that our diplomacy should play a big role in that one. And the transformation of the industry to have new, young, female, and Black to enter also in the space of this industry, which is quite a difficult one because of the capital requirement for the startup, quite a difficult industry just due to capital. The next one. Yes, our strategic partnership, we work with industry associations, we work with CSIR, we work with SAMSA, SABS, and the accreditation component like BV and Lloyd. We work for the skills with SAIMI, we have with False Bay College, those among our partners, just to be able to achieve in this program. Next one. Yes, some of the challenges you are facing includes, it's quite difficult to cluster in this industry just because of the size and you can't have a physical location of the industry so that we can reduce on the distance. To create a virtual clustering, something we are thinking of, so that the people can be informed on all components around the industry and all activities which can complement each other instead of importing, instead of using external companies, but local which are available. Also, it's another challenge is the age of the workforce. I think I spoke to it, the 55 years, and that's why we are involved also in skills training. We feel also strongly that the benefit of designation should trickle down into the value chain. Sometimes it's quite a problem because of requirements, mainly in marine standard, which is quite costly, and we are missing out a number of components on that one. Also, some projects, mostly government projects, when they have after a tender, it's given to one of the shipyards for signing, and start from the signing to those detailed agreements to have the project start on or to kick off. It takes too long, sometimes even a year or two. We feel that it impacts negatively on the industry. Those are among our challenges. Next one. Yes, the transformation of the industry, we said it's a white and male-dominated industry because of the cost of just capital to start. It's quite a difficult one to transform this industry. The cost is quite huge. As I said, the tariff, when we see the knockdown component, there is no incentive which it become even beneficial for someone to import a full component or full engine than to every component knockdown to come and assemble them locally, because the cost, the tariff, is higher when you use the knockdown component to it. It's one of the things we are looking at. It's quite discouraging. While as we'd like things to come and be assembled locally, I feel it's working against our incentive, our programs. Next. I think one of the things, maybe I should just talk to it because of time. I don't know how I'm doing on time. I don't know how many minutes I'm remaining. Please, Nicole, if you can tell me, you can just say, I'm still on time, eh? But just on accreditation program, as it's one of the program we plan really to assist a number of companies. Nicole has mentioned what we have already achieved, but the main thing is that the list of components that are required to be exempted is getting longer and longer. And the only reason is the cost of certification, and that's why we're playing a big role and try to support those companies. And the thing is that we have a capability locally, because the many industries are supplying to different industries like mining, the defense. They are using the same component, but because of marine requirements, because under OTA, the environment changes. How to cover it, there are quite a number of requirements so that it's cut also for the marine. Just that step to have marine accredited, the cost is too high, and that's why we feel that we should have this program. It's quite a program which can have local industry having to play a role also in components, which will, for now, it can be for the local markets, but in the long run, it will also cover the export markets, which the African region and the world. We feel strongly that this program will be a great success. Next one. Yes, basically, I've mentioned it. We look to have import substitution so that the component we are importing are locally produced, because the market is the South African market and the taxpayer money. We have to use it strategically so that we support other industries in that in the process. And also this can attract investment in the sector. When there is a market guarantees, an investor will see that it gives a rationale to invest, because there is market already for the product. And this can expand to the rest of Africa because of the proximity. I think that this basically was what I prepared just to talk to in this program. I hope it has helped. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We actually do have a few questions for you. We can start with that, and then I'll go over to the questions that were addressed more to my presentation. First off, Dave asked, considering the lead time for delivery of new built ships, does the designated sector issue come into play for operational additional platforms? New local technology could be developed during initial order phase.
Okay, I don't know if you understood clearly the question. You said considering the lead time in BS, which is 1 or 2 years for completing a project, and you said you spoke technology come to play in that one. I think the industry is not working in isolation, and if the design is a local design, there is engagement between it, because the design decide which component goes into the manufacturing or into the manufacturing of that vessel. That those consultation of industry become an opportunity for innovation, because the design will ask the industry that I need a component which can resist to such temperature, such friction, and so on. And this can be an innovation in for the marine or supported by the marine industry. It can be an application also, which can be considered and used in the sea condition, you know, underwater and so on. I don't know if I've answered the question, if I got it correctly. Thank you.
Dave, you can unmute if you can, and just talk to Andrew if he didn't address your full question.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Andrew, what I'm referring to is the situation where you have a very lengthy procurement project for multiple vessels. Now, at the beginning of that project, there would have been an application under the designated sector for an exemption because maybe technology was not available at the time in South Africa. But given the length of a new ship build, it's quite conceivable that the technology that was granted as an exemption is now available. But now you're sitting in a situation where on a project like this, maybe there are add-on orders, or optional orders for a multi-platform contract. Do you guys then go and look at again at the designated sector, or is it then considered to be, if the original baseline was specified in one way, that's the way it is kept?
Thanks so much. Very, very interesting question and difficult also to answer. But when you look at it, it's where we feel strongly that even industry should support localization. If in the process of manufacturing, something new comes and it's local, I believe that there is a contract already signed. I don't know legally how this can play. Even if costs come into, because it can be costly to incorporate that new project, that new component or innovation. But in the long run, the support you give to the rest of the industry is very important. I think the position of the DTI will be every time we take a step to support local innovation, we feel that it's a step toward progress, and the cost in the short term could be higher, but in the long run, the gain is huge, because this is a job creation, and when it's used in a public by government, public vessel, which is used by government, even the rest of Africa, we see that their government trusts this product just come into the market. Then it means we're opening even doors for the rest of for this product to access further market out there for export. I think that we should consider really incorporate that program despite cost. I'm speaking here in terms of, as a industrial policy person. And I believe that if we have to achieve industrialization, there are some costs which we have to accept also. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Going over to the next question for you, Andrew. I think it's also the last question, and then I'll address some of mine. It's from Nelson. He says, could you please elaborate on support on accessing the marine market for Black SMMEs?
Yes, if I heard correctly, you speak access of market by SMEs.
Specifically Black SMMEs, yes. And I think this is already addressed for our program, but over to you, Andrew.
Yes, yes. First, by designating 60% for local procurement, by having components which are local, and there are some low-hanging fruits of some products which even ourselves we feel that can be localized easily. We have given even support for accreditation and certification of the product itself. I think that's the focus is on SMEs, to see them also type into the value chain of the marine manufacturing, type into also the mainstream economy where they can play a role as suppliers of components. I believe that those are the way we are supporting the SMEs, and that's even our focus, to support the small players to enter, because job creation is more by SMEs than by big companies. And we have seen throughout the history that SMEs is key to job creation.
Thanks, Andrew. Nelson, I will give you time. Let's first go through the agenda. Later today, we've got.
Thank you.
Later today, we've got a time slot again. I think you can bring this up, and we'll give you an opportunity to pose your question again, Nelson. And I think there's some conversation that we can get out of it. I'm going to go back to some of the earlier questions. First off, there was a question to me. Can you indicate the time frame for application to approval process? So this depends on the two interventions or two initiatives. But mainly the admin is quick. It's less than 2 weeks from proposal submitted, the evaluation process, and selecting successful beneficiaries. What does take long is, especially for standards and accreditations, is if there's not specific, if the companies doesn't know exactly what support they require. So doing the background research, literature review, what in addition is required? Do they first need ISOs before we start with the actual certification? So that takes long. There's a time lapse between approving a company and then actually starting the certification process. So that's sometimes a major delay. Okay, moving down to Hi, Marie. I don't know how long I was silent there.
No, you were quite a while. You didn't answer the last question.
Oh, goodness, no idea what happened. Okay. Let me go back to the question on the Chamber of Comments. I don't know if you guys heard the feedback I provided there.
No, you can start with the Chamber of Commerce question again.
Thanks, Marie. I've got no idea what glitch happened there. So first off, so on response to that, please hook me up to your members, and please tell me who's the potential candidates that we can interact with, communicate with us, and we can see how we can take that forward. Okay, then moving past the comments for Andrew. Then Kevin Watson also made a comment. All of you can just read his comment. The marketing of successful localized certified components and services must be actively supported to ensure that they gain market acceptance. It's very difficult to break into, and I agree with that comment, Kevin. So does Adrian. Scrolling a bit down. Is a 750,000 available for each project, for all projects? So it depends. For technology enhancement, you have a budget of 750, could either be for one project or it could be several smaller projects, but the pool per financial year at the moment is 750. Then for standards and accreditations, there's 350 budgeted, but it could be more depending on co-funding and the project. So 750 specifically for technology enhancement. Standards and accreditation, there's more available because we do take in more projects. I hope that answers it. And then there's another question or comment. Women in aerospace and maritime, new entry, 100% women. There to SMME. Okay, it's just a comment that I can look at. Thank you for that. Okay, Andrew, there's another comment for you. I don't know if you can see the chat, but I'll read it for you. Regarding transformation, particularly speaking to access to the market, access to funding, and access to capacity development, do you think you are doing enough in terms of women, youth, and people living with disabilities? And then just continuing from that, transport is the heartbeat of the economy. How come it is not included as a role player in the ecosystem? So I think that second question we're not going to address now because this is marine related, but so we can definitely take that up if you can send us an email. From my side, we do, that's the transformation factors, we do bring that into the program when we evaluate and select programs. But Andrew, I don't know if you want to comment something on the transformation question.
Yes, I think for the transformation we've covered, it's, as we said earlier on, one of the big barriers to entry is the cost of capital, which it's not available sometimes. And we support existing effort. Means someone should be doing something and saying, okay, that's where I'm reaching. Now we extend what is his effort in doing what he's doing. In other words, we support an existing project or programs in the industry, in the company, for young people, women, and so on. But wherever there is a young person, a woman, it's a big focus for us, a person with disability. Every program would like really to incorporate them because it's one of our objectives, just to incorporate them in our program. For transport, not included, there are quite a number of activities we do in terms of transport which support the marine manufacturing. But there is a department dealing with transport as such. Some are dealing with ship registration, and we complement each other, or we advocate for a policy which supports the marine manufacturing. Those are some of the things we do, but we are not working in the space of transport as such, but we complement and support and use what exists as transport, how it can support the marine manufacturing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for that, Andrew. And yes, just to reiterate that, especially the technology enhancement, we have a transformation criteria where we rank companies. Everybody passes, for example, on a technical aspect, then those companies get ranked on transformation, specifically looking on Black-owned, Black female-owned, and youth. So that was brought in by the dtic to select projects. And then I see the comment goes on, does the opportunity rolls out the whole country or inland provinces? As I showed on one of the slides, we do support companies from several of the provinces. So it's definitely all throughout South Africa.